Hey, what's up, bud?
Howdy. All right. Was there anything in particular you wanted to talk about, or did you want me to give my spiel?
Well, I mean, I imagine we're probably going to talk about the shooter guy that
Like, if
everybody's
you wanted to
screaming about
attack
now.
me on a specific point, or if we just want to... okay, yeah. So, a couple of things. First of all, I feel like the general arguments you were making there were pretty reminiscent of the conservative line. I'm not saying it was okay for the police to shoot him, but what do you expect when you disobey cops, you know?
Okay, can I give you a real quick thing? Okay, real quick. Can we please just focus on this one argument? I think both of us are intelligent enough that if we use an analogy, we can generalize it. I don't want to hear like you're making the same Nazi. You can just focus on like the line level, directly applicable arguments instead of trying to draw this into anything else. Okay, I think we can handle that. I don't think the situation is so complicated that we have to start drawing parallels to other things. Okay.
Then I think most of the people in your chat were primarily concerned over whether or not it was moral to attempt to apprehend the shooter, and you were more concerned with whether or not that was a good decision for preserving their mortality. But I don't think people were arguing that. I think generally speaking in this country, we tend to laud people who put their lives on the line to attempt to apprehend an active shooter, but you seem to be demonstrating an almost contemptuous disregard for their efforts, which obviously didn't work
because
out.
I don't believe that the guy was an active shooter at the time when people were attempting to apprehend him, firstly, and then secondly, trying to apprehend an active shooter in an irresponsible manner can actually increase the amount of harm suffered by people around you, for instance, with ricochets or with misfires.
Do you think that the shooter was in the right to murder the people that he murdered? Bit of a loaded way to phrase it, but
well, you just completely moved off what you said before. But if you want to talk about a totally different
I'll go
thing,
back
sure.
to that. I'm just curious because I want to know whether or not you believe that people were even justified in chasing him down.
Okay, so then you're not asking about everybody. You're asking for the very first guy.
Yeah, well, we can start with the very first guy. I guess I jumped ahead a little bit. So with the very first
Sure,
guy,
well, I just want to make sure they're being razor specific on the question.
Yeah,
so you're
that's
asking for the
perfectly
very
fine.
first guy.
I didn't structure my arguments or anything. So with
Sure,
the very
that's
first
okay.
guy, as far as I can see, I don't know what incident led to the person with the bag chasing the guy with the gun. He threw, it looked like a bag with a Coke bottle in it, and then he missed, he continued chasing, and the man with the gun turned around and unloaded into him.
How many shots did he fire? Was it just one or was it more than one?
I think it was more than one, but I would have to go back. Chat, if you want to link the video, I can take a look at it again.
Okay. So 3 or 4 is what I've heard. Okay.
Yeah.
So just being clear, so 3 or 4 shots. I saw 2 people have in a shot, so I'm assuming that's true.
Yeah.
I would say that in that case, yeah, I would say that self-defense is justified.
Really? Even though Minnesota is not a stand-your-ground state?
Do you want to talk moral or legal? Which one do you want to talk?
Okay, morally, do you think if you're being chased down by an unarmed person... Wisconsin, sorry, not Minnesota, my bad. Do you think that... Do you think being chased down by a person, if you have a firearm, means that you're morally justified in shooting them?
Absolutely, yes.
You don't believe in like escalation of force? Like there needs to be a demonstration of lethal escalation of force before you're allowed to respond in kind, or?
If you're brandishing a firearm and somebody's charging you anyway, I think it's fair to assume that that person likely has lethal intent. They could be carrying a knife, or they could be planning to take your firearm from you and kill you with it. You have no way of knowing that. It's not your responsibility to know that. If you're trying to comply with what I would consider a moral duty to retreat, which it seems like he was running away, but another person is charging after you regardless, by the time you've ascertained whether or not they have like a knife or something, you're likely already going to die. So yeah, I think that you have a right to defend yourself in that circumstance.
Okay. So if we're strictly speaking like morally here, I think that's abhorrent. You could potentially justify.
Can you tell me why?
Oh yeah, because you could potentially justify with that line of logic an unbelievable range of potential justifications for engaging in like a preemptive lethal force.
Sure. Can you give me an example?
Yeah. I don't think that any time a person is running at you, that gives you permission to kill them.
I'm not saying anytime a person is running at you. I'm saying anytime a person is running at you when you've displayed lethal intent. I think that it's okay to assume that that other person is likely to counter with lethal intent as well.
But if you've displayed
Can you give me an example?
If you've displayed lethal intent initially, doesn't that mean you don't morally have... Like, by that argument, that means any initiator of lethal force would then be justified in killing anybody who attacks them after that point, because they've demonstrated lethal threat, and that... Yeah.
If you've demonstrated... Okay, hold on. Don't try to... Yeah, okay. If you've demonstrated that you've brandished a weapon, so you're willing to take things to a lethal level, and you're retreating... I would assume that anybody chasing you after that is also going to respond in kind with lethal levels of force. Can you give me an example of that not being the case? I'm not talking about like, because you're making a bunch of arguments, but you're leaving out one part. So an analogy that you just gave, so I could walk into a club and show my gun and now I can just kill anybody that charges me? Well, no, because in that case, you're aggressing, not retreating. This guy appeared to be retreating. It seemed like he was running with his back turned to the guy who was still chasing him and throwing things at him. Now, if you can give me an example where my use case here fails, I'd be interested to hear it, but so far you haven't provided one.
Well, I mean, it wouldn't be difficult for me to provide a use case because it's entirely possible to tackle somebody without having any lethal intent. But if a person...
Do you think... Wait. Can you know that?
Well, no, but you can't know that no matter what.
So you acknowledge then that there's a probability that if the guy either takes your firearm from you or has a knife on him, that he will kill you, right?
Well, there's always a probability whether or not you've already demonstrated lethal intent. But you were the one who escalated force by brandishing lethal intent to begin with.
We don't know that. We don't know that.
Do you think the person with the bag of coke brandished lethal intent before the person with the gun did?
We don't know. It happened off video. All we've seen, and now it's possible. I'm going to admit this, okay? Because I don't know. I know you guys love covering breaking news. It's possible that maybe this guy with the firearm was actually provoking people to doing something earlier. That is possible. I don't think that justifies the guy chasing him. I think that's still stupid. But maybe it's some more moral ground to stand on. But I don't think either of us know that. All we've seen in a video is a guy running away with a rifle, being chased by another guy with a bottle. That's all I've seen so far, at least.
So if it were somehow, and I'm not saying this is the case because I don't know any more than you, but if it were somehow demonstrated then that the person with the gun brandished it unlawfully or otherwise demonstrated lethal intent without provocation and was then chased down and then killed or engaged in lethal force, would you say then that morally justifies the behavior of the person chasing them down?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. I don't think it's a citizen's... Once the threat has been neutralized, I don't think that you have like a moral follow-up or a moral justification to follow it up with lethal force anyway. So for instance, let's say somebody brandishes a firearm and you manage to knock it out of their hand and they're like pretty much neutral. Let's say it's a small guy, 90-pound dude, knock his firearm down, and now I don't think you can like kill him afterwards once the threat has been neutralized. I don't think
the threat wasn't neutralized. He still had a gun. He would run off later and kill more people.
We don't know that. You have no idea of knowing that, right? That didn't seem to be the case.
The threat's not neutralized if the guy's still running away with a gun, especially if he demonstrated initially like an unlawful brandishing of that firearm. I would still assume that guy was a threat to the people around him.
It's possible, but it seems like I can grant, to grant you this, I would have to make a lot of like pretty bold assumptions. One is that he brandished a firearm showing that he was going to kill somebody, but then ran away, but then turned around and used it anyway, which is strange. And then two, like he brandished it and killed a guy, but allowed another guy to walk up and provide medical attention and didn't shoot anybody else. And then three, it was charged by a mob later and only shot the people directly to him. It didn't seem to shoot anybody. Like it's possible that what you're saying happened, but neither of us really know that.
I don't know if all those preconditions are necessary for my argument to be valid.
No, I'm saying that what you're saying. So like, I could imagine a fantastical world where this guy like drew his gun. He was like, I'm going to start killing innocent protesters. And some guy was like, no, get away. And like maybe threw a bottle at him. Like that's possible, but it seems highly unlikely. And even at that, like, I mean, like once you've chased him off, it seems like your goal should be to retreat and call the police or retreat and leave, I guess, if you don't think the police are trustworthy. I don't know why you would like follow it down and run it down all the way. That just seems to be like really irresponsible.
We're conflating arguments a little bit here. So it's possible that the most rational action that you can take is to hold off and call the police. However, if it's been demonstrated that this person is unstable or is provoking lethal intent for other people, it's entirely possible you believe that chasing them down and stopping them immediately is the most effective way to immediately put an end to the threat. I guess the biggest thing that I have an issue with is your assumption.
Wait, to be clear, that is incredibly unlikely that is ever the case. In any responsible self-defense like circumstance, it is highly unlikely that the most EV positive action is to chase a guy with a rifle with a bottle. If I drew like all the possible paths that could stem from that, like chances are you're always going to result in more harm than less with that course of action. For instance, maybe you charge him and he shoots you because you're charging him, and then you provoke other people to charge him as well, and he shoots all of them, and now you've got more people killed. Yeah, or maybe you charge him, he shoots at you.
Like, what if you chase him and you manage to apprehend him before he kills other people?
The only chances of that, but that's not going to happen, though. That should never happen.
The only advice that I'm going off of here when it comes to how you should respond to active shooter situations is the advice that I was given when entering university, should there ever be an active shooter. The advice for which is generally, and I don't know if this was just the advice that I was given in my university or if this is generalized advice, that you should hide, and if you cannot hide, you should fight. And that you should charge them with as many people as possible to put an end to the threat as quickly as possible, even if it might end up getting you killed. That's the information that I've been provided.
Sure, that advice is true. okay? But that hide or fight assumes that you're locked in a classroom with no retreat. So rather than stand in a corner and get butchered like sheep, then you fight, of course. But other than that, you always have a moral duty to retreat. Even if you carry a gun, you have a duty to retreat. If you take a CCW class, this is something we'll talk about a lot, is that you have a duty to retreat as much as possible before brandishing a firearm or before using lethal force.
How can you talk about a moral duty to retreat when that guy was running and then he turned around to open fire on the person who threw a bag at him? Because
the guy already threw one thing and was continuing to chase him down. Maybe the guy was getting tired. Maybe he didn't feel like he could continue running. Maybe he didn't know if the guy was going to throw out or take out and throw something else at him. But he might have thought the guy threw a knife at him or stabbed him in the back.
But the guy who was, but what you're saying right now is that you believe that the person who was running had a right to turn around and shoot because he wasn't aware of the intentions of the person chasing him. Nobody who was chasing that guy knew the intentions of the person carrying the rifle. So I don't think this assumption of this unreliable assumption.
Hold on, no. Hold on. You have to think about this probabilistically. All self-defense is probabilistic. Okay. You don't know if a guy coming up to you, if you're a woman, if he's trying to like wrestle you to the ground, you don't know if he's going to rape you. But we would never use this argument for a woman, right? Because there's a chance he could. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you sacrifice your autonomy to that person, right? So if this guy is running away from a dude who is chasing him, even after he's shown that he has a rifle, right? That guy probably doesn't want to sacrifice his autonomy to a guy that's proven that he's willing to attack him, even though that other guy has shown like he's brandished a rifle and shown lethal
but this
intent.
is about optimal response strategies, not about morals. We can't expect average civilians.
You're pivoting away. Do you want to talk about optimal response, or do you want to talk about more? Because I'm talking about the moral justification.
I don't want to talk about optimal response. No, I don't expect the average person to be able to respond.
Sure. So then let's stick to morals. Don't talk about optimal response.
I thought that's what you were doing, though.
No, morality has probability assigned to it as well. There's a percentage chance that if you stop, that guy is going to take your firearm and kill you, or try to knock you out and kill you, or he could take out a knife and kill you. You don't know that. And the guy in the white shirt was continuing to chase him. He was aggressing while the guy with the rifle was retreating. So yeah, I think the guy retreating has a right to defend himself.
We don't know if a person retreating, just because we've seen it in 6 seconds of a video, necessarily means that person posed no threat and that the person chasing them posed, the only threat. We're making a lot of
conjecture.
Wait.
You're the one making assumptions now. Yep.
No, I am making assumptions because how that incident started is very essential to understanding who was more in the right. If your assumption,
really, no.
Well, do you believe then? But then your assumption then is even if the shooter was the one who initially brandished lethal intent, they would be justified in killing anyone who attempted to stop them.
If he's aggressing on other people, but he wasn't aggressing, he was retreating.
What if he
was running away?
What if he brandished a firearm or threatened somebody verbally or pointed a firearm at somebody or otherwise unlawfully brandished a firearm and then ran?
Wait, stop saying law. We're talking morals. We're pivoting to so many different. So just focus on the moral part,
when I say unlawfully brandish, what I'm trying to clarify is that he wasn't brandishing it in response to a legitimate threat to his own person. He was pointing it to. I don't know.
So just said like aggressive.
Sure, okay.
That's fine. I understand what you're saying. I was trying to make it clear. I don't think you're trying to make it a legal argument. I understand. Yeah, go ahead.
So aggressing upon other people, and then he runs off. You speak of probabilistic circumstances. The people who are chasing him have no idea whether or not he poses a threat to other people, whether he's just trying to round a corner. What's more, I don't know how much the morality of the action is necessarily tied to the individual's ability to process the probabilistic outcomes of what response they should take to the potential of an active shooter. Like, I just want to, because I don't expect an average person to be very cognizant in the heat of the moment as to what the optimal decision is when it comes to a threat. But if a person
stop. Are you talking optimal decision or morality? We keep hopping around different.
You have said the morality of an action is in part determined by the extent to which your response to a situation is probabilistically justified, given the threat posed to you, right?
Yeah, but I'm not saying that.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how much of a connection there is there.
Okay, if a person is aggressing on you, okay, they could kill you. They might not, but they could. That's all I'm saying. That's the only problem. I'm not saying that it's up to a citizen to probabilistically weigh blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that if you're retreating, somebody is running up to you, right? There's a chance that person could kill you. If you've shown like lethal intent and that guy's still charging you, like, holy fuck, seems like this guy wants to fight to the death. I think that's a fair assumption. So if that guy's running away and another dude is chasing, it's absolutely a fair assumption. Ask anybody that's like it's. I actually question if you're operating in good faith, if you actually want to challenge that assertion. We can talk about that in more detail.
Do you believe the act of open carrying means that you have a lower bar that justifies lethal engagement with other people? I think this might be the fundamental question we're disagreeing on here. So what you said is so if a person's just running at you from the street, like, and you're like concealed carrying, I don't think you have a right to just open up on that person and unload 7 shots into them because they're running up to you. You're concealed carrying. They don't see you with a firearm. You don't see a weapon on them. But you just kill them. But they're open carrying now.
Your analogies are really bad.
But what I'm asking is, do you think the fact that he was open carrying...
Let me just explain real quick, okay? Because now you're talking about a guy just standing on the street and another guy charging him out of nowhere and then just shooting and killing that dude. This is a way different circumstance, okay?
I would say there's a greater threat present there than one in which the person who has the gun initially aggressed.
These analogies are very disanalogous, okay? We're talking about a guy who's running away, being chased by another guy who's not only throwing shit at him, but continues to chase him, knowing that the guy's like brandishing a firearm. This is quite different.
Throwing a bag with a Coke bottle. There are some people who are trying to say it's a Molotov.
You don't know what's in that bottle?
We saw a video in a pretty close-up picture. It didn't seem to be. I mean, it certainly wasn't a Molotov. There were conservatives who were spreading that rumor. I just want
but like if a guy is already chasing you, already throwing shit at you, you don't know what the fuck else he's going to do.
Fine. Then we can just use that example. Let's say, for example, that you're a shoplifter, okay? And pardon me if this is disanalogous, but I think it's fairly analogous. You're a shoplifter at like some little, I don't know, like some little like Chinese grocery outlet somewhere in Chinatown or something like that. You shoplift some stuff. You're noticed. The owner chases you out, throws stuff at you. They're chasing you. If you're concealed carrying, do you have a right to turn around and gun them down?
No, of course not.
Okay, so you believe that open carrying and the implicit threat associated with carrying means that there's a lower threshold that you have to meet to justify killing somebody who's chasing you.
No, it's not a lower threshold. It's the same threshold. It's just that threshold is met much quicker because you've already displayed that you have like lethal capabilities.
Right, no, but that's what I mean. Yeah, the implicit threat associated with open carrying means that the threat... Then if the threshold's not lower, then your state is higher.
Hold on. I 100% agree with you. That's why, as a CCW holding gun owner, which I am, open carrying is the dumbest fucking shit in the world. I'll never defend open carrying because it does make it so that things escalate very quickly. Because I'm sorry if you don't understand this, because you're just wrong if you don't. But 2 people with guns, I'm not trying to patronize you, but like you're unironically making this argument, okay? If one guy has a gun and another guy doesn't, these 2 people don't get in a fist fight. Okay, you just can't do that because one guy is holding a gun. That guy's never losing the fight. Okay, right. There's a very low chance. If I know that somebody has a firearm, I'm not going to engage that guy in a fist fight because if he starts losing, he's probably going to blow my ass the fuck away. That's what happens when you have firearms.
I would argue then, if you are the one who is open carrying, you are responsible for deaths which take place through the exertion of force, which would otherwise merit a standard of murder. So
now,
right, so if you,
agree.
so if you,
wait, let me finish my argument.
Wait, please.
Okay, I disagree then with what you just said. So go ahead.
Okay, sure. Then I'll clarify, and we'll see if you disagree after I'm done clarifying. So if we agree then that being chased and having shit thrown at you either does or does not morally warrant the murder of the person chasing you based on whether or not you're open carrying, I would argue that murders committed within that threshold of moral legitimacy are on the person who is open carrying because they are the one who accepted the responsibility of implicitly escalating the threat by open carrying.
Okay, if you have a firearm, your goal is to de-escalate, meaning retreat whenever possible. If you are retreating and somebody continues to chase you and you blow the person away, that's on the other person. They know that you are brandishing a firearm. They know that you have lethal capabilities. Well, concealed carrying makes it a little bit different. This is a totally different argument. That's why I'm getting irritated by the analogies. Concealed carry is different because if somebody attacks me and I'm concealed carrying, that guy might not know that I'm willing to kill this guy over this fight. We could get into a fist fight and he could beat the shit out of me or whatever, and it's whatever, and I could be concealed carrying and it's whatever. But if I'm open carrying, he knows I've got a gun. Well, now if he's still attacking me, holy shit! It feels like you're taking up to you know that I have a gun.
This is that's exactly what I mean. I would say that if you're being attacked and you are open carrying, and you would not be justified in murdering somebody if you were concealed carrying, you remain unjustified in murdering somebody for open carrying because you are the one who decided to escalate by open carrying.
No, okay, but that makes it sound like you have to go back further than if you're going to say it, because there's the reason why these guys were open carrying is because they wanted to be an open show of force to protect fucking business owner property.
They should be more responsible with how they engage with others in escalation of force.
Yeah, but it seemed like he was literally running away from the dude.
But if he wasn't open carrying, you agree then that a concealed carry approach wouldn't have warranted a reciprocative murder. So then the
A concealed
open carry
carry
makes the
approach. Hold on,
difference.
whoa. A concealed carry approach isn't what bodyguards use. Okay, when you go to the fucking club, okay, the guys aren't concealed. Cops don't conceal carry. All right, when people are standing outside places, like no, and you know they're not concealed carrying. When you go to the airport, okay, the people aren't there in the fucking airport. The rivals aren't concealed carrying. Right? In this case, if they wanted to display a show of force to protect property, it seems like open carry is probably what they want to do over concealed carry. So in that case,
I think there was a complete pivot. That has nothing to do with anything I'm talking about. So
No.
Wait. You and I. Speaking of disanalogous comparisons. Wait. Oh, wait. We agree on something fundamental here, and that is that there is a fundamental difference between open carrying and between concealed carrying, because open carrying necessarily escalates the threat level of any engagement you're going to have with that person because they have a fucking gun open, meaning anyone who aggresses against that person is doing so with the knowledge they're carrying a gun. I argue, since the person who is open carrying is the one who chose to.
This is a waste of time because you won't let me just address the problem here, okay?
Okay.
Personally, I think that concealed carrying is preferable to open carrying, but in every single circumstance, that isn't necessarily true. And the reason why is because I just gave examples. If you're trying to display, you're defending some piece of property or whatever, then open carrying is probably more responsible or makes more sense than concealed carrying. Mm-hmm. So in this case, if they're showing up to defend property, they feel like open carrying is like, or they feel like they want to have a show of force to defend property, then open carrying makes more sense than concealed carrying.
And they have a right to do that, and they also thus accept the responsibility of the heightened level of force and threat implicit to them open carrying, and are therefore responsible for any murders which would have taken place because they're open carrying that wouldn't have if they were concealed carrying.
But the thing is that like as long as they're complying with like a reasonable duty to retreat, then the murder or the death would fall on the guy that was aggressing the guy that is open carrying.
Yeah, again, because they're open carrying. It's not the person who's chasing the person open carrying's fault that they're open carrying. They chose to open carry.
You're assuming that they have, but it doesn't. It's not like they have zero justification for open carrying.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, there are benefits and losses. Benefits are you get to look cool. Losses are if somebody attacks you and you kill yourself in a way, or sorry, not you kill yourself, you kill them in a way that you probably wouldn't have if you were concealed carrying. You're responsible for that. I feel like you understand the argument.
Wait, are you saying that any time you attack somebody, then if you're open carrying, you're always constantly 100% in the wrong?
No, if you're open, I think that people who are open carrying should be held to the exact same moral standard of lethal or reciprocatory force that a person concealed carrying would. And I know that a concealed carry person can't be punched in the face.
No. That is not true. Okay, you're missing. There's like, this is really frustrating. This guy could have been concealed carrying, and this could have played out literally the exact same way. It's not relevant.
I asked you. Wait. But I asked you if it was, and you said that if the Chinese
shop
man.
Explain. I understand. No. We don't need to rephrase it. I understand. Let me explain.
You seem very frustrated with my attempts to explain my position. I'm not trying to speak over you.
You've explained your position plenty. It's just that you're drawing on like these really disanalogous threads to make a really silly argument. I can dispel in 2 seconds.
Concealed versus
Listen, you can be a concealed carry. No, but when you conceal carry, you know how you kill somebody with the gun? You have to unconceal it to do it, Vosh, okay?
I
so this guy could have been concealed carrying, and somebody could have charged him, and he could have taken his gun out, and then still ran, and the guy could have, and we could be having this exact same conversation. The fact that he was open carrying doesn't mean that's 100% the reason why this escalated where it did. He could have concealed carry, and this could have played out literally the exact same way.
Isn't it illegal to brandish your firearm if you're concealed carrying unless you believe that you have a reason to use it?
Why are we pivoting to legal arguments?
Because in this respect, laws are generally meant to be a rough reflection of our moral position on reasonable escalation. Wait. Okay. So forget. Wait. I'm not making a legal argument here. The reason that law exists is because when we're talking about people who concealed carry, we agree it's unethical for them to brandish their firearm at people around them unless there's a reason for them to use that firearm. Right?
Sure, and he might have felt like his life was threatened prior to that, but we don't know this. We don't have that video, right?
Do you think it would be moral then for a person to open fire on somebody anytime somebody else looked like they were going to hit them?
Sure, Vosh. Let's do a hypothetical situation. Maybe this guy was standing in the crowd, and the other guy said, I'm going to fucking kill you. And the guy's like, no, fuck you. I've got a gun. Don't do it. And the guy's like, I'm going to fuck you. Let's say you pull out your gun, and he's like, and he runs after you anyway. Maybe you turn around, and you're running away, and he's still throwing shit at you and chasing you. In that case, would the guy have justification to turn around and shoot the guy chasing him that said he was going to fucking kill him?
I guess it would largely depend on how credible you believe the threat to be. I don't think so, generally.
Okay,
no, if they don't have a
then
weapon.
It sounds like we don't disagree. On this.
Wait, then we agree it was immoral to murder the person who was chasing.
No, you just said that if you had a gun and you felt like the guy chasing you was trying to kill you.
Oh, sorry, I was speaking from the other
yourself.
perspective. My apologies. No, I don't think you should be able to shoot that person, no. Unless you
Wait,
felt there was a
so-
credible
wait.
threat to your person. If they just said they were going to kill you, but they're chasing you without a weapon, probably not. No.
I'm sorry.
Now,
hold
the
on.
law
Do you
there would
think that
depend
the-
based on the
wait,
state.
Hold on. I just need some easy yes or no's real quick. Do you think that the only way to kill somebody is to have a gun? Yes or no?
Do you think that a gun is like a multiplying factor here that legitimately increases the threat of violence?
In one-on-one combat in close quarters? I mean,
You
like,
can-
you can't answer the
you
question.
can wait. You can kill someone with a handkerchief.
Keep talking until you stop. Okay, thank you. So when you have a full-sized man chasing you, okay, and he's got a fucking glass bottle in a bag he's throwing at you, don't give me this. Well, he doesn't have a weapon. Maybe it's not lethal force. That is an
So you think having a bottle in a
disingenuous
bag
argument.
thrown at you means you get to kill that person?
If somebody says, I'm going to fucking kill you, and they chase you with a bag and a bottle, do you think that person could kill you, Vosh?
Of course they could. Anyone could, regardless of whether they express that intent.
So if you think that a guy could kill you and he's chasing you with a bottle in a bag and you've got a means to defend yourself, do you think you have a right to defend
They
yourself?
could kill you without a bottle in a bag.
Oh, okay. Well, then in that case, let's say that you're running away from a guy. He says he's going to kill you and he's chasing you with his fists out and he's chasing you. Do you think you have a right to defend yourself?
I don't know. It depends on how credible the threat would be. What if he doesn't say I'm going to kill you? What if he just chases after you?
Well, I don't know. We don't have the video, do we?
Wait, you
But it
can't
sounds to me like you acknowledge-
wait. So you acknowledge then that expressing an intent to murder is an essential component here, and you're using this as an analogy for a video where there's no evidence whatsoever that the chaser ever expressed any intent to kill the person.
Wrong. I did not say that intention. I didn't even say you needed that. I was just giving a hypothetical because you seemed to think it was impossible to believe that a man chasing you with a bottle could kill you.
No,
and
I
I just gave you stop. I just gave you a very clear example for how, well, actually, look, here's an example of how he actually could be trying to kill you. And then you took it as a
Do you think
you could do that even with,
person with
stop.
your
Let me
fist?
finish once.
I don't
have
think you
stopped
understand
and let
my
you finish
position.
so many things. I've stopped and let you finish so many things. Let me finish, okay? You initially said that it was impossible to imagine that the guy charging the dude could have killed him. And I said, well, I think it's entirely
I never
possible
said,
that he
wait, hold on.
Oh
I
my
never said that.
God.
Wait.
Okay.
Just to
Then
save
let's
you
back up
time,
to there.
I never said it's
Let's back
impossible
up
to kill
there.
somebody.
Okay. No. That he could be trying to kill you. You made it sound like it was impossible to believe that a guy chasing with a bottle
But
could
you can
kill
say
you.
that about anything. You could say that about a 12-year-old running at you with a sharpened pencil. That doesn't justify murdering them. You have to have a reasonable assessment of the
You
escalating
think
threat level.
A reason. Okay, so this guy was 17 years old being chased by a fully grown man with a bottle in a bag. You don't think that guy could assume that guy could murder him? Or-
Anything could murder. It's whether or not the threat is great
Am I
enough to
talking
warrant
to a
murdering
son
them.
right now? I'm so confused.
Wait.
Oh my
So
God,
wait,
you're
let me
being-
clarify. Wait, let's calm down.
You're
Wait,
being such a weasel right now. It's unreal.
Wait. You keep asking me as though it's like a gotcha, like, could he murder? You can murder anything with anybody, or you can murder anyone with anything.
Can you answer
I'm not
a single
trying
question?
to. My threshold
You
isn't
actually
whether you
can't.
can murder someone. It's whether or not the threat justifies the implementation of lethal force. Now, I don't
I'm
think that
asking
threat
you-
is.
Okay,
I don't
let
think
me
that
let me
level
ask
is
you-
met.
Sure. Let me ask you a really easy question. If you're running away from a guy and he's chasing you,
Didn't you hate
with
the
a bottle,
analogies? Wasn't that the point?
This isn't an analogy. This is literally what happened in the video. Have you watched
Okay,
it?
I have. I didn't know where
Okay.
you were going with this, but we did a lot
So
of we've
let's
done a
say-
lot of pivoting here, so I want to stick on topic.
So let's say that I agree. There has been a lot of pivoting here. Let's say that you're running away from a guy who's chasing you with a bottle in a plastic bag. Is it reasonable to assume that this guy is coming at you with deadly force?
No.
Okay, we're never going to agree on this then. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
Yeah, this is only the first of 2 murders.
Well, no. We're if we can't agree on this point, I don't think you're arguing in good faith, or you're insanely sheltered. I don't know what else to say to you.
Okay, I don't appreciate it that every time we have a disagreement, that disagreement seems to come down to my age or my relative level of. How many people have you murdered?
Well,
I think we're equivalent in this
honest
respect.
to God, I can't believe that you think that a 17-year-old being charged by a full-grown man with a glass bottle can't see that as being deadly force.
Okay,
I don't think that you believe that. I think you're saying that because you want to win this argument.
First of all, I want to clarify your language here. I don't know whether it was a glass or a plastic bottle. It looked plastic to me, but the way you're phrasing it makes it sound like he had done the bar fight thing where he smashed the bottle like on the countertop and he was running at you with like a knife, you know? When in reality, he just had a bag with a bottle in it of indeterminate make. So I want to clarify that. I don't know if there are people here who haven't actually seen the video. Now,
even if he doesn't have a bottle, even if it was just his bare hands, if you're running from a dude in a protest,
you think being chased by a person justifies killing that person if you're open carrying?
even if you're concealed carrying, if you're running away from a guy and he's chasing you, and it seems like he's displaying like some kind of like deadly intent, then yeah, I think you have a right to
even
defend yourself.
concealed carrying. If you're running away, you think of a person as we don't know anything about intent. We just know that it was being chased. You think you can just turn around and kill that person if they're chasing you?
If they continue to chase you, yeah, and you've brandished a firearm and they continue to chase you, yeah, I do. I don't even think that's a hot take, unfortunately. I think you're so emotionally invested in this particular case.
It's not a heavy level of emotional investment. There are so many alt-right murderers every day now that I don't have to get too invested in any given one. I do disagree with you on this.
I think that there's like a huge narrative on this, yeah.
Well, I mean, of course there is. Yeah, I know you don't like breaking news very much, but the nanosecond after this happens, all the alt-righters are out there talking about how this, you know, somebody has to provide a counter-narrative. So I'm interested in this discussion. I don't agree with you in the moral framing here. On the legal framing, I'm pretty sure that this kid's going to be convicted, from what I understand of the law. But obviously, that would depend on whether or not your moral alignment fits more with, like, you know, stand your ground states or non-stand your ground states. Yeah, I don't really know. Let me think.
Okay,
here.
sure. Okay. In that case, I'm just curious to see where you stand on self-defense. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say that you have a person that is significantly smaller than another person, and they're running away. Okay. Let's say that other person is chasing them and has said, "I'm going to come and beat the shit out of you." Okay. Let's say that the person being chased has two options. One is to lose the fight and then endure whatever the attacker wishes to levy on that person, or two, to pull out a weapon and deliver lethal intent. What do you think that person's moral obligation is? Should they be allowed to defend themselves with lethal force, or should they be forced to submit to their aggressor and endure whatever they want to deal out to?
Without knowing who the aggressor was there, you're offering me a choice between one person dying for sure and one person maybe dying. In which case, I would say, without knowing who aggressed, I would say that I would take, getting the kid beating the shit out of them, because I don't know who the aggressor is. That's good.
I'm glad then, because we just fundamentally disagree.
Okay.
I think that if you have a means to defend yourself, I don't think you should have to submit your body to another aggressor. I think that's wrong. I would say the same to a woman who thinks she might be getting raped. No, it wouldn't.
Wait, no, that's non-comparable, because in the case of the rape, the rapist is the aggressor. If the person who was charging at that kid was the aggressor, undeniably, then I would agree with you. That kid had every right to gun them down. But we don't know whether that happened.
You're not saying we don't know. You're trying to draw up some potential story where this guy with a gun threatened a bunch of people and then ran away as soon as another guy, like, I guess that could happen, but you have no reason to believe that's the case. You have no evidence.
Wait, you don't think it's like a 50-50 on that? Like, so this is a kid who, I mean, judging from at least the social media we've seen, definitely has a pretty strong political bent. The odds of like a far right militia kid brandishing a firearm at another person or aggressing, I would say.
Now this is where yeah, sure. So now we've left the moral arguments and now we're playing the breaking news game, because I've seen videos where that guy was running an EMT station and he said he supports Black Lives Matter. He just wanted to make sure that people were only riding against the government and not other people. So now what does it look like? He was literally saying he was pro Black Lives Matter earlier and that he was running an EMT station. So now what are the odds?
I don't know. So do you want to then dispense with any presumption of initial aggressing and just like work with the ambiguity? I haven't seen that video, by the way. I'd be very interested in seeing that video.
Sure, no one in your chat will probably have it. If you go to my chat, I'm sure like a ton of people will link it.
Why do you keep accusing my chat of being hyper biased and partisan? I'd like to think that I cover things from a reasonable angle.
You do more than most, but the socialist shit, it just makes me want to fucking off myself.
What socialist
but you do better
shit?
Than
this isn't a socialist issue.
It definitely is. It definitely falls along the huge like anti-cop, anti-whatever. Like I see all that shit coming out.
The most
like, hardcore
aggressively partisan people on this issue are Kyle Kulinski types, and he's not even a proper socialist.
Okay, we can pretend that's the case if you want. Sure.
Wait, okay? I don't know what bias you're coming into this with. He's certainly not.
Okay.
He's less of a soak down than shit.
Oh no, I don't know if Kyle Kulinski is a socialist. I'm just saying that the idea that there aren't like a ton of like lefty LARPing dipshits on Twitter that are getting asked mad about this.
Of course there is. They hate me more than they hate you. That's why I do things a little bit differently.
Like I'm pretty sure your chat is. I'm sure if I were to open it up, 1 million people are typing bootlicker and chud. But I guess we can pretend that those are like centrist.
Wait. Them not liking your take here isn't evidence of bias on their part. Well, they weren't before.
No, but
now,
you're using insults like bootlicker or chud. Like generally, it's
now of course they are. They weren't before, but now obviously
they were. I know they were before because everybody in my chat is saying
your chat would call me a bootlicker if you prompted them verbally.
Literally half my chat was against me on this. No, I'm pretty sure 99% of your chat is aligned with you, but okay.
Well, yes, this is more. I've argued with my chat plenty. You know, I took that from you to some extent, but haven't we discussed here? Yeah, I don't know.
I think that your particular, I don't think that you agree with what you've told me earlier. I think that you're only saying it because you want to be right or whatever in this particular thing. The idea that if one person is running from somebody else and the other person is the aggressor, and the one person either and the person running has to either choose between using lethal defense or just submitting themselves to the whims of their aggressor, that you think that person is morally obligated to submit themselves to. I don't think you actually.
I don't buy your premise that running away in the video that we've seen makes them not the aggressor.
I'm not using no. I'm just asking because I wanted to explore this in a moral vacuum. Mm-hmm. I just asked in that particular case. And even in that vacuum, you said no, because you said, and I quote, if I have to choose between one person dying and one person potentially dying, well, the other person should just choose to potentially die rather than definitely kill the other person.
When it is not known who the aggressor is, that would be the side that I would take. If it's known who the aggressor is, I'll side against them every time.
Okay. Oh, okay. Hold on.
Yeah. So like the rapist thing isn't analogous because a rapist is obviously the aggressor. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So then in a moral vacuum, if one person is running away, okay, and the other person is chasing them, and the person running away hasn't like provoked the other person or done something, right? Mm-hmm. If he's running away and he has a firearm and the other person is chasing him, and that person chasing him can do great harm to the person running away, you agree that the person running away can defend themselves? They have a right to use lethal defense?
If I give you a non-yes/no answer, will that come off weaselly?
Absolutely, because this should be a pretty easy yes or no, but tell me why you can't give a yes or no answer to that.
Okay. I think that under circumstances like that, I guess if I had to speak to a preference here, and this isn't legal, I don't know what the legal requirement would be, but I certainly think it would be preferable for the person who holds the firearm, whether they're open or concealed carrying it, to turn around and threaten that person with lethal force before actually acting on it.
Sure, I agree.
I don't think chasing.
But if sure, let's say they brandish the firearm and the other person continues to chase them and run at them and shows themselves to be aggressive. Does the other person have a right to defend themselves?
If the person chases through those circumstances and the person who is chasing is the aggressor, then in that case, I think unless there's some incredibly weird circumstance, I would side with the shooter. But this isn't what happened in the case here.
In that case, then you do see that it is possible that exact situation could have occurred here. Do you agree?
Well, in this case, we know... Well, the video loses track behind a car for a fraction of a second, but it didn't look like the shooter... It didn't look like the shooter turned around.
In this particular case, it is... What do you mean? He didn't need to turn around to show a firearm.
No, that's what I mean. Hold the firearm to that person like you stop or I shoot. Something to that effect.
Come on, dude. If you have the firearm out, like you already... Like, no. Right? The guy's going to shoot...
Yeah, because I don't believe open carrying means you get more justification to kill people who attack you than it would if you conceal carrying.
But in this particular case, you admit that could be the case here. That the guy ran away, he threatened to shoot the guy, and he still charged and he shot him. So you agree that could have been what happened here?
Well, they still didn't turn around and issue like a sort of a warning before shooting. But yeah, if we assume that A, the person who was chasing was the aggressor, B, that the person who was fleeing genuinely believed there was a threat to their life, which is conditional, and C, that they then did something which I know for a fact they didn't do, which is turn around and verbally declare intent to kill before doing so, then I would say that they would have a right to shoot there. But I don't know whether or not those conditions were met, at least the first two. I know the third wasn't. And what's more,
you keep trying to make it like 100%. I'm just asking you, is it possible that the conditions could have been met here for it to be self-defense? I'm not asking you if it was. You keep saying,
I mean, it's absolutely possible that before the video started... It's absolutely possible that before the video started, the person who was chasing ran up and started fucking getting the guy, and then the kid ran, and then only after the kid turned around and say yes. I don't deny that. The only problem that I have, and the reason why I was critical of you earlier on stream, is because the way you were responding to these people was not, well, there is a possibility this is justified. It was, fuck it, this is justified, you're all a bunch of fucking cucks, so on and so forth for 40 minutes. Which is a very different... We have found a level of nuance which was not present in your original...
Hold on. I have found a level of nuance to get you to be a little bit more intellectually honest.
I'm not being intellectually dishonest.
I would be willing to make a lot of concessions in this argument, though, and still say that guy was justified in shooting the other dude. But we're not even at that point yet. I was just saying if I could get you to be honest and admit that there are cases or scenarios, or not likely, but possible outcomes where this guy could have actually been working in self-defense.
But I never denied that. I said that we don't know the conditions.
You absolutely did.
No. I said let's operate in the absence of understanding what happened before the video started. I didn't say that I know for a fact what happened beforehand.
You absolutely, even when I tried to ask you about possible self-defense hypotheticals earlier, you were saying things like, well, I would have to know who the original aggressor was and I'd prefer for harm reduction. You can try to pretend now. People will go back.
No,
and
but I
flip
do need to know that. Wait. I do need the original aggressor is important. No.
That's not what we're talking about right now.
What I was saying was from the beginning. I'm sorry if I made this unclear. Then allow me to. From the beginning, everything that I said was on the assumption that we don't know who initially aggressed. It is absolutely conceivable there are things that the shooter could have done or that the chaser could have done to have warranted the shooting. Absolutely, unquestionably. But in the absence of that evidence, I still think your behavior on your stream was incredibly unwarranted. And I think that my presumption here, which is that in all likelihood this is misbehavior, is fairly warranted likewise.
Well, I've seen plenty of evidence of how this guy has conducted himself prior to that. That makes me doubt that. But we're probably never going to agree on that. I think that the way that this guy handled the first shooting and the way that he handled the second one when he was on the ground, I think shows that the guy's not like a crazy sociopathic murderer.
The second shooting, he was literally laying on his ass, firing shots at people 20 feet away who weren't even moving towards him.
Hold on. Can somebody please link the video so that we can watch it? Have you watched that video?
I mean, I've watched, I think, that video, yeah.
Can somebody link the second video so that we can watch it together? Because I have no idea what the fuck you are talking about. Hold on.
Chat.
Somebody linked the second video where he's on the ground. There was like a Twitter video or whatever.
Here. This definitely contains it. There. Following content's been identified as inappropriate or offensive to some audiences. Oh shit, I guess that's going to be my stream now. Even if what I've just said is incorrect, by the way, I still think there are actions worthy of criticism in the second shooting, but if I'm incorrect with the whole...
That's great, then let's talk about them.
Okay.
Because I was actually surprised at how he handled himself in the second shooting.
Sure.
I was shocked.
Okay.
But I'm waiting for somebody to actually link the actual video, but apparently nobody...
I linked it to you. It should be what you're looking for.
Okay. Hold on.
Wait, I need to...
No, that's not what I'm looking for.
It goes later to...
Okay, here, this one. This is way better, okay?
So after this point, does he fire shots, or did I misremember that?
The thing right here that I just linked you?
The last shot he fired was on this person. It looks like he was running to his side. Definitely wasn't 20 feet away. I misremembered that part. I acknowledge that.
Okay, so every single person he shot was literally within arm's reach of him, which is a surprising amount of restraint given the circumstances, in my opinion.
I don't necessarily think that justifies it.
So let's assume that if he was justified for the earlier shooting up to this point, let's assume that. Do you think that all of the self-defense here is justified, or do you think it's not justified, and why?
Because this is an incredibly dangerous moral standard that we're setting right here, where anytime you shoot someone in public and people come to stop you, you can keep killing people because you keep exercising self-defense until you're standing on top of a mountain of corpses. Like you morally, what you're justifying here is.
Let me ask. Please stop preaching. Please stop this.
Why are you? Wait.
Okay?
Come on. Seriously, preaching?
No. Yeah. Yes. This whole like pulpit of like standing on a fucking pile of bodies.
I think you've had a lot of bad experiences with left.
No. I watch your stuff and I appreciate it, but sometimes you get very preachy. I'm not interested, okay? So I'm asking a very simple question. Let's say that I defend myself like in an okay manner one time with a gun, okay? And we both agree that it's justified. And then I try to remove myself from the situation after that. If people charge me because they think that I was unjustified and it looks like they're going to kill me for it, should I just say, well, okay, you're right, and let them kill
you for it? We can't assume that about everyone who runs up to you. Okay, hold on. I'm trying so hard because you're being so dishonest, okay? How and I don't know if dishonest? You can Wait, my standards here have been completely consistent. In both instances, I have said that if the person who is chasing initiates and the person who has the gun verbally...
one of the guys chasing this guy literally has a pistol drawn. Come on, dude. Okay. You're really going to do this?
Yeah.
Really? You don't think that it's fair to assume
the person with the pistol hadn't fired? The person with the pistol hadn't fired. They were like right up close. It seems like that was more of an attempt at apprehension than it was at murder. In fact, by the way, I just want to say, if you're running from someone or you fall down and you turn around and there's somebody pointing a pistol at you 2 feet in front of you and they haven't fired, I think that's more of an indication of non-lethal intent than it is lethal intent. That is,
really?
Honestly, on the part of the person with the pistol, probably a legitimate attempt at apprehending you than it is killing you. They could have shot you in the back.
That when this guy was aiming his rifle at the other guy, then who raised his hands and backed away, or earlier when he killed that one dude and he didn't kill the other guy that showed up to do first aid to him, then he wasn't trying to be like lethal towards everyone as well. Would you grant that same thing to the defender here, the shooter?
I mean, no, because the shooter was the first person who killed a person, so it's reasonable for other people to consider him a threat. If you chase after a person who's being described as an active shooter with a pistol, you're not the one who's looking to go initiate. You're certainly not going to be considered a threat by the people around you.
So then let's return back to the other hypotheticals, because now we're working in a moral vacuum, because I'm truly bewildered by your statements here.
Okay.
If you defend yourself with lethal force against somebody, and now a mob of people are chasing you for what was a justified use of self-defense, do you submit yourself? Okay, I'm going to say this really slow for you, okay?
Mm-hmm. Patronize.
I'm trying, okay, as hard as I can. If you defend yourself in a morally justified way against somebody, okay? So don't say, I don't know if it was justified, again, for the third time, okay? If you defend yourself in a morally justified way, and then you retreat from that situation, and a mob is chasing you down, and it's possible that they'll kill you if they get their hands on you, do you think you're obligated to submit yourself to the mob?
I actually have to think about that. Generally, I think, yeah. Because otherwise, you could ethically justify killing an theoretically unlimited number of people as they continue to try to apprehend you for what they consider to be an unjust murder. Because morally, you have to understand, even in individual circumstances, it can be justifiable. In this case, because you're working with limited information.
So, no, we're in the moral vacuum. If we have a disagreement on a fundamental moral level. We don't need to make it more complicated than that. We disagree right here. We don't have to go any further, okay?
Well, sure, yeah. So I think the consequences of accepting the idea that you can continue to kill people who aggress on you after you've killed another person are far worse than the ones in which you must submit to them, yes. Vastly so, yes, absolutely. Because otherwise, every active shooter situation would turn into one lone man standing over a pile of corpses. Because everyone else would be trying to stop them.
Do you remember Ahmaud Arbery or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
The black guy, I think he's the one chased down by the people in the truck?
He was.
Do you think they were justified in killing him because they thought that guy had been aggressing earlier on other people?
That is I actually genuinely cannot believe you think these are even remotely comparable situations. I'm talking about...
Let's say that those 3 white men thought that he had engaged in violent actions earlier. Do you think they have a right to chase him down and kill him? Should he have just submitted himself to their whatever instead of trying to defend himself?
Well, they were in trucks and they had guns pointed on him, so there wasn't really much of a threat to their person. And additionally, he hadn't aggressed on anyone else earlier. But if they thought they were...
No.
Wait. No. Then why invoke Ahmaud Arbery? Why invoke Ahmaud Arbery?
Because we're not talking about if he had aggressed. We're talking about if somebody else thinks they'd aggressed. Because in the moral vacuum, you agreed that if a mob thinks that you've done something wrong, then you have to submit yourself to the justice of the mob.
Yes,
that's what you said in a moral vacuum.
The difference is, where I said submit yourself to the justice of a mob, I'm referring to not murdering people with your firearm. If Ahmaud Arbery wants to punch a person who he thinks is about to lynch him, who ended up lynching him, I think that's perfectly fine and justified. If Ahmaud Arbery had a gun and there were people who rolled up on him unarmed and Ahmaud Arbery started firing into the cars, I would not think that is justified.
So they need to wait for him to start shooting at them?
No, they need to demonstrate an intent or ability to engage in lethal force, which is the standard we have for the legal exercise of self-defense.
So if those three white guys thought he was carrying a gun and they thought that he was breaking into property and shit earlier, do they have a right to hunt him down?
If they wanted to hunt him down, sure. They didn't have a right to fire on him until he demonstrated that lethal ability. If he had pulled out a gun and drawn it. Did
Ahmaud Arbery? Did he have a gun?
He did not.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we disagree on the fundamental. I don't think you should have to submit yourself to mob justice if you were if you were justified in your earlier defense.
But don't you, I mean, this is what we have to do with police officers as well. Even if there's a shooting situation and we're in the right, if the police arrive, we don't just go up to them and go like, yeah, dude, you have to drop your gun, get out on your fucking knees and hope they don't mistake you for the shooter. And I think
wait a second. They shot Ahmad after he tried to take one of the other guy's guns away, didn't they?
Because they aggressed on him. Yeah, they rolled up in front of him, blocked his way, and pointed guns at him.
Wait. But didn't they only aggress on him because they thought that he did something bad earlier?
Nah, they were, the truck, a gun had been stolen from one of their trucks like a couple of weeks ago, and they thought it was him because his jogging route was in the area. So it was literally just, let's find him.
If they thought that he'd stolen a firearm and they thought that they were justified in chasing him down, why shouldn't he have to submit himself to their mob rule there? Why shouldn't he have to submit themselves?
He doesn't, because he isn't at risk of killing them, and they're at risk of killing him. He had guns. I mean, they had guns. He didn't have a gun.
But he tried to take one of their guns.
But, well, first of all, he didn't. But second of all, if they saw a gun on him and he drew that gun on them, then I think they would have been justified in firing on him, even if they had been the ones to pull up in front of him. But he didn't have a gun.
Okay, so that's interesting. So let's say hypothetically these three white guys in the truck drove up on him, and he thought he was in danger of his life, and he pulled out his firearm. You think those three guys have a right to execute him?
If those three guys pull up in trucks in front of him, and Ahmaud Arbery initiates by brandishing a firearm at them before they've demonstrated lethal intent, then yes, I think they would be in the right for attacking or killing Ahmaud Arbery. That's not what happened, though. So, yeah, wait, that's not... Yeah, absolutely. If Ahmaud Arbery unjustifiably draws a fire... Wait, are you trying to get me on, like...
Unjustifiably? If a mob shows up to fucking lynch you? You think you're unjustifiable and, like, preemptively trying to brandish lethal force?
If trucks roll up in front of you with no firearms drawn and you're the first one to point a gun at other people, then yeah, I think you're fair in exercising self-defense, 100%.
Okay, I think if you're a black dude and you're jogging around and you got some racist fuck hillbillies that show up in a fucking F-150, all three of them roll up on you. I don't know, man. I think
just get to start shooting.
If they're like fucking rolling up and you chasing you or some shit, and you don't have to start shooting.
Not chasing, but like
those guys can just execute you.
Wait. If you're the first one to draw a firearm on them, then yes, you're the one who first initiates the threat of lethal force. If they brandish firearms first, then
wait for them to shoot, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just operating. First of all, you're attempting to virtue signal right now. It's funny that you would accuse me of preaching. The only reason you're hedging on this issue and laughing is because you're trying to get my chat to go like, oh, the socialist thinks it would have been okay to kill Ahmaud Arbery if you change every circumstance.
Your chat doesn't care about black people. They're socialists, okay? I would never try to virtue signal your chat. It's never going to work, okay?
Why would you talk about my community this way? I don't talk that poorly of your community.
Because I know, boy, you talk poorly about fuck my community, okay? Half of them agree with you right now, so fuck my community, okay?
I'm not trying to virtue signal. What is this preachy shit? We don't care about black people? You know, we've actually argued with other lefties for unnecessarily introducing a class exclusionary element to BLM when it's mostly considered a... It's just weird for you to levy these criticisms at me when I'm generally against the rest of the online left in certain respects.
Sure, I agree you are, but I'm just saying you implying that I'm virtue signaling. I imagine you're not saying I'm virtue signaling to you. You said I was virtue signaling to your audience, okay? I like you, but I fucking hate your audience, and they fucking hate me too, so that's okay. The hatred is mutual there, okay?
I mean, don't confuse
an attack on your audience.
Fine with you since the duo debate. They just really didn't like your take on this.
Are you
I'm mostly try to turn people onto your content.
First of all, you know that I have your chat open, right? You think that your chat has been kind to me from the very beginning?
Wait. No, obviously not this time. I'm talking about the past 3 months. No, your rhetoric when you were talking to your chat, I think, was deplorable. Yeah. And I think they're justified in being upset with you.
But you've agreed with me on like all the major points. So
I'm not really.
You agreed with me that it's possible that this guy could have been acting.
I never disagreed with that.
Time.
But of course,
but then now on the second shooting, you're giving this ridiculous take where if you do something that's fully justified, and then a mob is like trying to lynch you afterwards, you have to submit.
Nobody's saying lynch. Nobody's saying lynch.
What do you think it is when a mob of people come after you screaming that you just shot a guy? What do you think they're going to do to you, Vosh?
If you drop the gun and get down, I think that there's a significantly lower likelihood of people dying than if you start firing into the crowd. Again, your logic here would justify an insane body count. Anytime something like this happens.
We're not talking about body count, okay? I'll take the body of one innocent guy against 10 aggressors. It's not about the body count at the end of the day. Like, if we want to talk about body count, then literally anytime...
But the people who are stopping him also are innocent. They're trying to stop a person who they
No,
consider
they're
an active
not
shooter.
innocent. They are no. If you listen to the footage when they go to chase, they're literally in the mobs and like, "What did he do? What did he do?" No one has any idea. They're just charging a dude. Half these guys don't even know what the fuck is going on.
I think that's
You think
conjecture. I'm pretty sure the people who
Hold on,
charged at
wait,
him.
okay, hold on. Can I get a video, please, of the guy saying? Actually, it might be the one you linked, where people around them are literally saying, "What did he do? What did he do?" And some guys like he shot somebody, and then people are just like running.
Wait, but we're only referring to the people who actually charged up on him, not everyone in the crowd. I imagine the people who actually charged him with a handgun brandished probably knew what he had done. We're like digging an insane degree into their imagined beliefs here.
Hold on. You're the guy that had to dig back into insane hypothetical. I'm going by what's
What
shown
insane
on video.
hypothetical have I gone into?
The idea that the idea that this guy was threatening people, then ran away with his gun, while the other guy, you have no idea about any of that.
No, I didn't.
Totally
All the arguments that I made were on the assumption that we can't infer who necessarily aggressed in the beginning. That absolutely was. Wait, okay. Oh, then I defer. Wait. I defer to the chat. Then I defer to the chat. Okay. If I at any point said that I know for a fact that he wasn't justified,
you're lying. I'm not saying you know for a fact, but earlier you said, don't you think it's fair, given the pro-police rhetoric that he posted on his Facebook earlier, that that's likely? I'm almost positive you said something exactly like that.
Oh yeah.
Am I lying?
No, probabilistically, I do believe that the guy engaged, but
There
my
we go.
arguments,
Okay.
weren't dependent on that belief. The arguments I made were on the belief that we can't assume who initiated. But I do personally believe, outside of that set of moral assumptions, that yeah, that kid probably did do something to initiate. Probably. But that wasn't what my argument was based on.
Okay, we have no way of knowing that. All we see is one guy running from another guy. But
I know. That's why I said that's the argument that I made. Yeah, that I can't know. Obviously, I have my biases against right-leaning people, of course, but
So,
I wasn't trying to make my moral arguments presuppositional on that set of beliefs.
Sure, okay. So if you're running away from a crowd, and at least 3 people have charged you so far, like, you don't think it's reasonable to assume that more people would probably move in from that crowd once this guy had lost his firearm? You don't think that's like possible?
Are we talking about the second shooting now?
Yeah, the second shooting. Because you keep saying only a few people came at him. You don't think that whole crowd would have been on him like pretty quickly afterwards?
I think, if I may draw a comparison, I think it's interesting that initially your assessment for what behavior is moral was largely dependent on the potential chance of death or threat involved with different actions. Like, you know, is it more moral to do this? Well, what's the likelihood of a bad outcome? When what you're advocating for right now would escalate the situation every time there's such a situation. This means that any time a crowd believes that an active shooter is active, whether or not they were justified in doing a kill, that they'll attack, and that the active shooter is justified in killing them, and then more people attack, and so on, and everything turns into a bloodbath.
You're missing so much, okay?
What am I missing?
I'm not talking about like escalation of force. I don't think escalation of force is necessarily a bad thing. So you can drop that immediately. Also, I don't care about body counts. What I'm looking at here is who is aggressing, okay? If one person is unfairly aggressed on by a whole room full of people, I think that guy has a right to defend himself and kill every single motherfucker in that room if he feels like he has to survive. I think that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and say,
"Oh no, wait. Then that's okay. That's okay. Then we don't have to. No. That's insane. That would just. First of all, I mean, you're arguing against the law on this one.
Then I'm going to go ahead. I'm not. Why do you keep pivoting the law? And fine,
because
I'm go ahead
because I want to establish that my beliefs are not.
Sure.
Yeah,
one black man about to be lynched by 9 white people. That black man should just submit himself to the white people.
One black man about to be.
Can you please just bite the bullet on that? Please.
One
just say
black
yes,
man about to be lynched with knowledge that there is about to be lethal force aggressed in them has every right to defend himself to any number of people. However, what we're talking about here is an ambiguous threat from people who are not necessarily acting immorally.
An ambiguous
Those people
threat
he shot probably thought they were
mob of people.
First of all, yes. We have seen plenty of... Wait. Why are you talking like we haven't seen months of videos from BLM protests where people have gotten mobbed and lived? Okay? So first of all,
have
the
several
idea...
examples of being mobbed and killed?
Yeah, that's the coin flip. But
so why would you coin flip if you feel like you're in the right?
Because the people chasing also feel they're in the right. And if your logic is continued to its logical conclusion, every time there's an active shooter situation, anytime those people then try to stop the shooter will continue killing the innocent people. Your situation leads to more innocent people getting killed.
Maybe in a circumstance then where we don't have all the information, maybe we shouldn't be so rash to act.
No, wait. That's a black people should get married. Wait, that's a black people should get married argument. Human beings react predictably in situations full of stress. I'm not going to just act better.
What is this biological essentialism?
Wait. You just argued we should act better when we don't have the facts. I assume you're arguing about the people who were present at that situation. Those people were responding pretty predictably to...
No, it's not predictable to fucking mob charge a dude down. We can act better than this. I believe that humans can do a little bit better.
Then you are talking about biological essentialism. Yeah, you're talking about how humans behave in situations of stress and perceived threat. Humans have behaved comparably in this respect for thousands of years. Mob charges for...
No.
You don't think the one attempting to apprehend a murderer...
Stop. You're the one saying that human beings act irrationally in mobs, therefore they ought to act irrationally in mobs.
No, I'm not making that argument. I'm saying the fact that they act such ways in mobs is more or less a given historically and psychologically, so we should probably base our moral systems around the understanding that people react in those given ways. For example, there are lots of things that prospective rape victims can do to exacerbate the chances of them being raped, but that I wouldn't then go... We should probably talk about women going to the bathroom alone when they're drunk after a woman gets raped for doing so. I recognize that people will make mistakes in these instances. I would rather constrain my blame to people who I know are culpable moral agents in the situation.
Wait, I'm sorry, can you walk me through that again? I'm so lost.
Sure. Though I feel like we're running in circles here. So...
you're just so you know, you're unironically arguing for like mob justice and lynching right now.
No, I'm arguing that active shooters should lay their guns down.
He wasn't an active shooter. Half these people hadn't even seen him fire. The guy had shot one time and he walked away.
He killed
one person and walked away.
He killed a person, then ran. That's an active shooter. Nobody there knows whether or not he's still a threat. People will behave predictably in given situations like that. We're not going to convince the entire population of the planet to suddenly be like
He's not even running. He's literally walking away. I don't know if
he walked out of shock and then he ran when people started to pick up after him, which is a reasonable thing to do.
Chase him?
Yeah, because he just murdered somebody. Yes, that's what mobs do. They chase murderers. That's the thing they do.
To the mob rule?
Wait. You keep deferring to this intuitive logic. Submit to the mob rule. My logic saves more innocent people than yours does. Because
they're not innocent. I don't think mobs are innocent. Fuck no. I don't agree with that at all. We can argue about that.
I think that is a wild belief. That mobs are by default deserving of being killed because they chase after someone they believe to be a murderer?
Slow down the bad faith train there. Pump the brakes.
I didn't say that we've arrived at the conclusion. Wait. We're talking in the context of shooting into mobs that are chasing you.
I'm saying that I don't think you have an obligation to submit yourself to the will of the mob because they feel like they're justified in chasing you. I don't even think that's a hot take. Okay. I think that's like pretty understandable.
Because what you're doing when you phrase it that way is you're conflating different types of mobs. So there's a big difference between a mob of Klansmen who are chasing a black guy and a mob of people who are chasing you because they just saw you murder an individual and then run away. There's a huge difference between the relative levels of moral responsibility in these two mobs. So when you just say submit to mob rule, what you're doing there is you're conflating examples where it would be justifiable and unjustifiable to respond violently. If a black guy's getting chased by Klansmen, he can do whatever the fuck he wants to the people chasing him. But in this case, the logic of if you've shot a person and others come chasing you, you can shoot those people too, ends up leading to a cascading effect where either everyone flees or everyone dies. And I don't think that's a reasonable expectation given the way people predictably behave in mob situations.
I don't understand where this everyone dies comes from. Now, I could be wrong, but I can't think of a case where an entire mob chased one dude that killed like 90 people. Generally, like a few people get shot. So I know that we want to make it as extremist as possible. Like every single person is going to die down to the last baby fighting. Okay. I don't think that's how any of these things play out. Okay. If a mob of people, this is what you're arguing, if a mob of people has perceived that you've committed a crime and they decide that it's on them to enact justice against you, and you don't feel you've committed a crime, I think you have every right to defend yourself. What you're arguing for, and I'm going to virtue signal some more, how many times does a white woman scream and a black guy is like retreating from some area and a bunch of white people hunt him down because they think that black dude raped the white woman? Like historically, this has actually been a pretty big part of like American history. And the fact that you would say, well, you know, if they really feel like that guy had committed a crime, I mean, like
commit a wait, hold on. Wait. Your argument just supports me. So assuming we're not talking about the black guy, wait, hold on. So assuming we're not talking about the black guy literally being lynched. So assuming we're talking about like a mob attempt at like getting them or something.
Yeah.
So there's no implicit lethal threat on the part of the people chasing that black guy. And the black guy himself does not have a weapon, as you haven't accounted for in this situation. I assume, unless he's like carrying for some reason. In that case, it would be best for that black guy to then stop and let himself be arrested rather than to kill everyone chasing him for thinking that he had just committed a rape.
Okay.
Now, that sometimes leads to bad outcomes, but I think it will more often lead to bad outcomes if you give permission for any person being, like, run down, the ability to just gun down people chasing them if they don't believe there's a threat to their life. Now, if they were coming at them with, like, pitchforks, then the lethal reprisal would be justified, because that would be a very obvious, clear and present threat to their life. But I think that's important. That's an important distinction.
Sure. I don't think it is at all. I think this is I think this is an insane argument. I don't even know if you believe what you're saying right now, but I don't know. We can visit this in the future. Yeah, no. What you've just said is absolutely fucking insane. But I think it's really funny. But maybe like in the future.
I'm not moving off the morality argument. I feel like what I'm saying is mostly in line with law, which would indicate that and law is an attempt to sort of formalize morality, often very imperfect. So I would say that in this respect, my position is more institutionally justifiable than yours. Do you not agree with that?
I don't know. The law always plays out in strange ways when it comes to like self-defense cases. I'm pretty sure there was I feel like I saw a case, I could be wrong, but wasn't there a guy at like a gas station that was like outside and he like shot a black dude like 3 times and walked away? And I think the state actually said that they ruled that was a stand your ground. That was like a self-defense. And that guy could have easily retreated. I wish I could remember the name, but I remember watching that video and I'm like, there is no way this was self-defense. That guy could have easily gotten out. Why did he execute this dude? And I think the state let him off. That was insane.
Stand your ground is usually used to justify violence against minority groups.
Sure, so I'm just saying that like I don't usually look at like the law or the outcome of cases here when I'm thinking of like morally justified like self-defense.
Can I ask you an honest question? It'll sound like super hyperbolic, but I genuinely want to know what your perspective is. Okay, so let's say for example that you're in like, I'm trying to think of some stupid example that would work. I don't know. You're in like a teacher's office in college or some dumb shit, and you're attacked by the teacher, and you end up shooting them. Perfectly legitimate self-defense, perfectly fine. In that respect, the cameras will, exculpatory evidence you later. However, afterwards, people hear the shot, they come in, they're screaming, they see you with a smoking gun, and these students, believing you just murdered their professor, try to charge you. Now, that's a lot of people coming in. Do you believe you're morally justified in just gunning the students down as they enter? Or do you think that in that respect, the moral decision would be to set aside your gun, to drop your firearm, to put your hands up, and just recognize that even if your initial action was justified, in this respect, it's probably better to defer to the coin flip of the mob than it is to just kill a bunch of probably very innocent people?
So the two things that I'm going to argue against here. Firstly, how old are the students? Because if you're talking kindergartners.
No, adults. Sorry, college, like adults.
We're talking college age students, okay? Like, in this particular case, I would have to think about it. It really depends. But the problem is that being inside of like a school setting, as opposed to being like out on the streets, I think are two far different environments. Like the chances of like some super ultra fucked up shit happening to you, like in a classroom, like if you drop your gun and you're like, holy shit guys or whatever, I think is way different than a mob of people that are chasing you out on the street. I think these are two wildly different scenarios.
I mean, I don't know if I agree. I assume if I said the same thing except outside, like you're around a building's corner and the same thing happens between you and a teacher, then a bunch of students run around, try to mob you. I assume then, since it's outside, you think you would be justified in killing them to defend yourself?
I mean, you're talking about like on a school campus. Like people are here to like learn and shit. Like this is way different than like you're out on the street. But on the street during protests and rioting, like people are riled the fuck up, like looking to fuck shit up. It's way different than like you're on like a college campus.
I feel like these are aesthetic distinctions. I mean, the threat to your life is comparable in both cases.
I can't believe that you're saying this.
Wait, the threat to your life in both cases, if people are mobbing you thinking you're a murderer, there's a very legitimate threat to your life in both cases.
I would be far less worried about like a group of college students on a campus that were going to murder you versus like people that are like protesting and rioting at night in the streets.
Then what would you do if the aforementioned example took place outside? Would you set the gun
I mean,
aside, just
I
like put
think-
your hands up
yeah.
and be like, fucking please, don't, I'm justified. You know, that's what happens in the movies. We put our, you put, that's what, I can't believe I said this earlier. It's not really an argument. This is a Tim Pool argument, but this is like, you put your hands up like, please, God, I was justified. I was in the right, please, holy shit. And you might get roughed up a bit, but like, usually the protag doesn't just start like gunning down the you know, the people who arrive at the scene. But you think that's fundamentally different?
That's not true, though. In movies, when you've like drop your gun and they're like gangsters, or you're like in the streets, or whatever, isn't it assumed that that character is going to get tortured and killed?
Well,
isn't that usually the assumption? What do you mean?
I'm not assuming that you're being chased by villains. I'm being assumed that you're chased by innocent people, and I would consider BLM protesters to generally be innocent people, not gangsters. Students, innocent people. Gangsters, kind of like their profession is being mean, so I would assume there's
I can't honestly believe that you're going to tell me that like the likelihood or proclivity for violence on a college campus is the same as a bunch of like charged protesters.
How
in the
different do
street.
you think it is?
Probably significantly different. If I were to
I
leave
can
a pile
acknowledge
of
there are
bricks,
conditions.
if I were to leave a pile of bricks on a campus, do I think that those students would just pick those bricks up and start throwing them at buildings? Probably not. That's really fucking weird. But if I were to leave that out in a protest at night with enough really angry people, like, yeah, maybe they would. I don't know. So
Sure,
do you
sure,
think that
but that's
the same there? Like these groups of people are going to act in totally different ways. Of
those
course.
different. No, those different. Those two conditions are very, very different. I respect that, but I think that when you have a shared set of conditions of a mob of people believes you've murdered unjustifiably, you know, a person they cared about, and they're chasing after you, and you're in a corner, you can't move, but you have a firearm. I think that these are fairly comparable, but I know that, like, as I move further out into the crowds, or as my examples grow more, I guess, or less institutionalized, you're probably going to think that it's more justifiable for you to fire, you know. I don't know. I guess we just have fundamentally irreconcilable perspectives on this one. Even, by the way, if I acknowledge we have a legitimate change in perspective on this, I still think the way you were addressing this initially with your chat was deplorable.
Okay, well, I mean, you said earlier that you're pushing back because you feel like you have to provide a narrative. I'm going to go ahead and push back with what I think is a good narrative. If you're charging a guy with a rifle, it looks to me like you're trying to kill somebody. Any gun owner would tell you the exact same thing, except for, I don't know, anybody that's like a responsible gun owner would tell you the same thing. If you're being chased by somebody and you've already shown that you have a firearm, this is a good chance that motherfucker's trying to kill you.
Is that the breaking news narrative the world needs right now? You don't like breaking news, but you're willing to depart with your standard to throw out...
I don't like breaking news, but every fucking retard on the internet, I said it, you, Hassan, everybody else is going to be giving all your dumbass fucking hot takes. You even said it earlier. Well, he had Blue Lives Matter on his Facebook. So, yeah, you know what? I'm in Sweden. I'm bored as fuck. I'll watch some videos of some dumb fuck protester running up and getting executed by a dude with a rifle. Yeah, I will give a take on it because you guys all do it anyway, so I guess so. Yeah, why the fuck not?
To clarify, when I did the Blue Lives Matter thing, I was explaining why I personally believed that kid was probably in the wrong, but it wasn't a part of the argument that I was making, which was relying on a...
That's good.
Okay.
Because you know what? The guy that was charging with the bag has no fucking idea what that guy posted on his Facebook a week earlier. So.
Well, I know, but the guy with the bag who's dead now knows what the kid did before the video started. I guess it'll be interesting seeing if there's any more video footage that comes out of that, or if we can get some testimony on what took place initially. But, you know.
Well, I mean, he doesn't know now because he's dead because he chased a dude with a rifle with a bottle. That's the classic saying. Don't bring a plastic bottle in a bag to an AR-15 fight, I guess. Maybe if anybody learns a lesson from this, maybe it'll be that.
Sure. I mean, again, you could just apply that exact logic to, like, rape victims if you chose to. Like, you know, rape is bad and all, but you probably shouldn't have done X. It's just not what I'm interested in.
Wait, hold on, wait. What? If somebody's trying to rape you, you should fucking shoot that person. I would apply the exact same logic. What are you talking about?
Well, now, you don't know if the murder was justified.
You would say, well, hold on, you don't know if the rapist is going to, like, rape and murder you or just rape you.
I would not say that.
A woman, you said this in a vacuum. A woman shouldn't 100% murder a guy when he might not murder her. She should just submit to the rape, and then afterwards they can hash it out. Like, that was your point earlier, okay?
I don't believe I said
think in a vacuum,
I don't believe I said that.
I think you kind of more or less said
that. Now,
what
your argument would more be like, if you're at a party and you're a girl and a guy's being creepy towards you and hands you a drink, that you get to shoot that guy in the stomach right away. Because there's a threat there of rape, you know. But if you're actually in the process of being raped, yeah, I think you have every right to shoot that person.
In the process of being raped, so that means like a person
or
throwing shit
before,
at
yeah,
you
okay,
and
wait,
then
come on.
running
Wait, do you want me to? Are we getting like graphic here? No, come on, you know what I mean. No, self-defense, rape is on the same line as like.
I just think it's funny
attempted
because like
murder.
the next step, the only
This
other
feels a
step
little
that this
bad
guy,
faith.
I agree. The only step, that's the first thing you said, I agree with. The only step that could have gone farther was you were literally saying the guy with the rifle should have let the other dude punch him first before actually shooting. That's like the next step.
It's a
The
good
guy was
thing.
literally
It's a
arms
good
free.
thing I didn't say that. The issue is, and here's the thing: you and I both acknowledge that we can't determine who was in the right initially 100% without knowing who the instigator was to begin with. The difference is, with your logic and with your language, you are implicitly assuming that the shooter was justified in defending themselves, whereas I'm only saying that it is conditionally possible that they could have been justified based on information neither of us has access to.
Because the scenario that you're laying out, for that to reach the threshold of justifying the dude running would have required an unbelievable scenario. Like maybe if the rifle guy said, I'm going to run 30 yards back and then I'm going to turn around and I'm going to shoot and kill all of you. Maybe in that situation, I guess.
I don't think it has to be quite that much. I think that brandishing a firearm and then running still means you're perfectly justified in chasing.
He's open carrying. He's always. So are you justified in attacking every single open carry person?
Wait, no. There's a difference between having your firearm out on your side and pulling it up and pointing it at other people. Doesn't wait.
You don't know if
I could wait. I could be
anybody?
wrong. I could be wrong here. Brandishing doesn't just mean presenting it. You have to draw it or like point it at somebody.
You have to use it in a threatening manner. Sure.
Okay, yeah. Then I would say,
you don't know that he used it in a threatening manner.
That's my argument. I don't know, but your language was as though you knew that the guy who shot was justified. You don't know. But I saw you in chat. You were like, these fucking retards on the left don't understand. You've never even left your college safe space crybaby dorms.
Even if he had brandished the firearm, he was running at that point. Why would you continue to chase him when he's already started to run away? Why not call the cops?
Because he might have indicated that he was already a threat to people and that he needed to be put a stop to. I don't know. But we've already been over this. We're just not going.
Okay.
All right. Well,
I love you, buddy. Okay, be careful.
Do you think you could perhaps dispense with the Nihilistiny arc? It's getting a little bit tiring from the sidelines.
What is the Nihilistiny arc?
You know, the everyone else is bad faith, so I can be too. It's you did a thing in it.
I think some of this argument. I think you've been arguing in bad faith. I think that there are clear things that you said here. Because I think that you have made the thing on like mob rule. I can't believe that you think that. There's no way that you do.
Do you not feel I've applied a consistent standard where I think it's more moral to just submit yourself to the mob than it is to just kill everyone who comes for you? If I've submitted a consistent standard, I don't think it's fair for you to accuse me of being in bad faith.
It is consistent. Maybe that's how people feel when they argue against me and I'm consistent in something. Maybe you genuinely do believe this. I guess it's possible, but yeah, I'll be super curious in the future because I can think of a lot of scenarios that are really sweaty where fucking black dudes have been lynched by white people thinking they were in the right, where saying that like, but then you even said that earlier. Maybe the black guy should just submit himself to get arrested and then they can hash it out of court.
Wait. If people are coming to arrest the black guy, then yeah, I think that he should submit to arrest rather than gunning down a bunch of unarmed white people who are coming from.
Not submit to arrest, but like a mob of white people approaching him.
It really depends on the context there and how legitimate the lethal threat is. I do believe that. I think that there's a lot of nuance there. But all I know is I've seen a lot of Marvel movies, and in the part where the good guy gets framed and he turns around and there are a bunch of angry cops and civilians staring at him, he drops the gun and puts his hand up in the air, and he doesn't fucking unleash the fucking Iron Man laser and cut down 300 people who are threatening him implicitly by surrounding him and not allowing him free access out. So maybe that's
in real life, if you spend a lot of time on Live Leaks or Ogrish or any other like gore site, you can see that where one guy throws his hands up and a mob comes up and somebody throws one punch that kills him, and then people cut his intestines out and they drag it over the street. So I mean, I don't know. I guess it
typically happens in the United States.
It's not a matter of it typically happening. I mean, like there have been people that have been killed in these protests and riots so far. And I mean, like, who's to say that you're not going to be the next? Like, I don't know.
I mean, there have been at least 20 Marvel movies. I doubt you can find that many live leak videos of people being killed. So yeah, I'll hinge my bet. I'm trying to end on a light note. Okay, all right. Have a good one.
I love you. Be careful. Bye.
Bye.